already met Jim Beddoes. He was a part of this panel, and now he's going to speak solo. In case you were wondering what Jim Beddoes is like solo as opposed to in an ensemble, you'll now find out. He's going to speak about digital and data finance and so forth. So, once again, Jim Beddoes.
Great, thank you very much. I'm going to kind of speed present, and if you want me to slow down or anything, I will, but I've got 15 minutes to do this. I'm not an IT person. That's not my gig. My gig is innovation with technology. So I'll go through this really quickly. So we'll probably won't have any time for Q&A, but we'll cover digital and data strategy. So what is digital? So digital actually covers storage, network, and processing. And I'll go into what that means. So digital storage. We have gone from books to thumb drives, so printed electronics, printed storage. So that's kind of where we are now. It just keeps accelerating. There's a Moore's Law. If you've heard of Moore's Law, that's for processing, where processing power increases every 18 months. The same type of law applies to storage and also networking. So this is digital networking. We have the telegraph, we have the World Wide Web, and now what we're going into is something called the Internet of Everything. So the Internet of Everything is, they are sensors everywhere. They're going into roads, on our person with our smartphones, into anything and everything, connecting all things. So the final part of digital, what is digital processing. So that's UNIVAC, that's your smartphone, this is a lab on a chip. How many people have a smartphone? Okay, so this smartphone is more powerful than the computers used to put a man on the moon in 1969. So that's where we are, and it's accelerating.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. That was a finger with a little tiny chip on it.
That's a lab on a chip.
How small they are today?
It's probably smaller now.
Okay.
Yeah, it has to be. It's not real time. It's getting smaller and smaller.
You wouldn't see it.
Yeah, I had to enlarge it like a million times for you to see that.
Oh, wow.
So, impact of digital. So what is this? Accelerating advances across the sciences. So, for example, the Genome Project, the rate of progress with the Genome Project is faster than actually computer science advances because you've got exponential kind of layering effects where everything's going faster and faster. Increasing digitalization across products, processes, and systems. And growing Internet of Everything. For some reason, my pictures aren't showing up. On this, I had a picture of Tower Records over here, and the Tower Records in Hollywood, where you have the disc. So that just kind of presented kind of where we were with vinyl records, and now it's digital and everywhere. So that's what's going on with products, and processes, and services. Some consequences intended and unintended. It's too bad I had a picture on this slide, which was a driverless Google car driving around Mountain View. So I was sitting in a cafe and just drove by and nobody was in it. So some of the consequences, growing concentration of wealth. Ultra high net worth individual wealth in the US now is 7 trillion, and globally it's 33 trillion. The US economy is 17 trillion, to give you just a kind of some data points. So fewer people getting richer and richer faster. There's increasing churn and disruption. So the average span that a Fortune 500 company used to be on the Fortune 500 was 60 years ago, was 75 years. So General Mills, General Foods, GM, it's dropped now to 13 years, the average time on the Fortune 500. So there's increasing churn at the corporate level. Growing social disengagement, people are texting, they're not talking. Data scientists are writing algorithms, So all of a sudden we have computers making decisions about our lives. Google felt compelled to have a policy of do no evil. So that was back in 2000, 2 or 3 they announced that. And they actually had to set up an artificial intelligence ethics board. And they bought a company in London called DeepMind last year. And DeepMind's premise is they say they can change your memories, swap out memories. So that's kind of consequences and unintended. So digital is a double-edged sword. So on the positive, it can reduce cost structure. So Amazon, if you read Amazon Way, it says that the cost structure for Amazon, for Google, for Apple, they've got at least a 10-point advantage over the competitors because of digitalization. So it's taking out cost, and companies don't keep up, are going to be left behind. It enables a new class of entrepreneurs. So you have more and more, especially millennials, who are going into, they want to do startups. They don't want to go into corporates, they don't want to work for Microsoft, they don't want to work for these corporations. It's accelerating the pace of innovation, and there's also predictive analytics. So on the positive side. So it can help you make better decisions, it can help you hopefully have better career paths. On the negatives, privacy and security issues, you read all about the data breaches, Walmart, whatever, the US government, or the social security numbers and everything being hacked. Elimination of jobs. So there was a McKinsey report that came out a month ago that said 45% of jobs in the US will be eliminated through digitalization in the coming years. And then reduction of human interaction. So people are interacting, and predictive analytics. So it can be positive and negative. So if somebody's looking at your data stream, they can start making assumptions about who you are and what you will be, and whether they should hire you or not. So these are some of the things with digital. I actually went to a conference. It was a Microsoft privacy and security conference back 5 years ago. And a researcher got up from Carnegie Mellon and said they were already running algorithms that they could use facial recognition and 40% of the time work back from your Facebook profile to your social security number. So that was 5 or 6 years ago. Netflix ran a promotion, it was probably 2008, where they asked for your 5 favorite movies. And somebody developed an algorithm, they could pinpoint who you were based on your 5 favorite movies. They got sued, so they stopped doing that promotion. And then when Romney was governor of Massachusetts, he put up all the medical data in Massachusetts for research, but it's anonymized. But somebody could hack in, go back and look at the data, work back to what ailment you had, what hospital probably treated you, and go back to the voting records to work back who you were. And then the day after that, they released Romney's social security number. So that was probably 12 or 14 years ago. So the digital is spawning the Internet of everything. And my contention is this is bigger than the printing press. So the printing press was a huge inflection point for human civilization. You know, it spawned the Reformation, religious reform, scientific revolution, and Renaissance. And I think Internet of Everything, which we're going into now, is bigger than all this. And actually, Cisco says they think that Internet of Everything, as an industry, will be $19 trillion by 2020. And again, the US economy is $17 trillion. And moreover, Cisco says they don't understand it. They don't understand what the business model is around it. So trends in digital and data strategies. So these are some of the trends that are happening. So one is self-service. So Amazon, you go and serve yourself on their site. You see this also when you go to the supermarket where they have digital checkout. So this is a trend. Another trend is individualized, customized user experience. So you go get your own media, you go get your own So this is rippling across the different verticals. And finally, collapsing value chains, the demise of the middleman, direct to consumer. So these things are all happening and accelerating. So one approach to this with data is Russia went out and bought 15,000 manual typewriters in 2013. And they said, we don't want to have that breach. So I'm not recommending we all buy manual typewriters. So what I am saying is you need to process map your processes, systems, products, services, and ecosystems, and data flows. And look at potential for digitalization. Because if you're not doing it, somebody else is going to do it. So what does that mean? How are you putting, you have your data, is it digitalized, you're backing it up? How are you using digital processes? How can you build it into your work streams? Process map in order to mitigate risk, reduce costs, generate revenue streams. So process map it, get those post-it notes, start doing it, connect the dots, and see where your vulnerabilities and opportunities are. It's a double-edged sword. What are the upsides, what are the downsides? But you need to start thinking this way. A lot of people are doing this. So data strategy continued, try to generate and capture data whenever economically feasible. Think of data, think of it like a monetizable asset, like gold. And safeguard it, treat it like an asset. Monetize it with different business models. Is it a melting ice cube that you have? Monetize it now, or is it something you can keep and use for a long time? But safeguard your brand and business relationships by being transparent. You need to be transparent with who you're sourcing the data from, your customers, your users, whoever, you go value chain. You want them to know how you're doing it, or else it will come back to bite you potentially. Just assume nothing's going to be secret anymore, would be my advice. And then finally, who is monetizing your data, would be the question.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We want to hear that.
Well, everybody, anybody and everyone. So that's the thing. So that's my presentation.
We got time for a Q&A, don't
Yeah.
There's my email if you want to contact me through LinkedIn or whatever. Yeah, I guess a couple questions, but really quick.
Yeah.
we? Not to play the part of a social anthropologist, but the elimination of jobs and the centralization of wealth, who are the consumers going to be to sustain the wealth that's being accumulated by the few?
Well, that's my point back to kind of when I meet with local officials, government officials, to say, the mantra, many VCs in Silicon Valley, I'm based up in Palo Alto, and startups, what they talk about is their goal and mission is take the friction out. And taking the friction out is code for taking humans out and taking human interaction out. So that's the code. And what I'm saying is, actually, there's technology we can use not to eliminate humans, but to enhance human productivity. And that's what we need to do. So when we talk about innovation with the general and how do we find common ground, it's like we need to find common ground to do this. We're also going to have a growing, shrinking middle class, taxes coming down, tax base, and not the wherewithal to support social programs.
Jim, do you have a model of this whole process that you work with?
I do, yeah, I do.
I figured you did. That's what GBI is all about. It's test modeling and how you can bring on artificial intelligence that serve people rather than destroy people. That's what GBI is all about.
Okay. That's why you invited me in here.
I read your bio.
Go ahead.
Looking at everything that you're saying right here, one of the things that I didn't see was with technology, no matter what technology you build, somebody has to build it. Whether you're building the computers to build other computers, there's always going to be new technology that things that computers can't do that humans, are gonna have to do quality control. So there's always gonna be some space for us. It's just what we're gonna look at as far as I'm seeing, we're gonna be shifting our positions. We won't be doing the same positions. We should be getting prepared for a shift in positions.
I haven't seen a discussion, and that's a good point, I haven't seen a discussion about what artificial intelligence is truly good for versus what human cognitive abilities are really good for. And that's the fundamental question that needs to be addressed so we can figure out how we all work together in this bigger system we're creating. General?
Yeah, there are two comments being made. First of all, there could be three. One is that there is as you showed, Moore's law is showing that the exponential change, exponential change is occurring. And more specifically, when you start showing algorithms, building algorithms, now you've got Moore's law would probably be considered obsolete by that definition, because the change is going to happen even faster. It may even start to almost feel like instantaneously.
Well, Moore's law is based on physics, so Moore's law gets us through the mid-2020s, and then will be a shift to technology or some other computing, quantum computing, some other platform.
Yes. So then the second part of that is, some say, well, the things we're going to, so that means you're going to get machines that's going to come so close to exhibiting instincts, and that it's going to look like it is, in fact, respond like a human. That's the first one. The second one is that the danger is that people say, well, that means human beings are going to be put out of the loop completely, and that may become a question. I don't think it will happen to become a question. But the problem is another thing happening with human beings. We've already dropped below the number of people being reproduced to sustain the number of people we have on the world. Forget the United States, but in the world. The only place where the number is still in a reproducible fashion is the Middle East and some of the Asian countries. So lastly, the last part of this conversation would have to do with manufacturing. Somebody's got to make the stuff that happens. Really got to make it. Well, the part of that is you have to keep that second point in place, because less people will be required to make stuff, and then we're going to transition some of this eventually back to the things that we're making.
So the thing about thank you, General, the second point would be, when you talk about artificial intelligence computers, the word real comes from, I think, real, which comes from royal stamp. And what that was for was to imprint authenticity on an object or service. And what humans look for is authenticity. So we want a human authentic interaction. And maybe some point a computer will be able to replicate an authentic human interaction. I don't know, but it's not going to be it's not going to be anytime soon, because we have evolved over 200,000 years. We have our cognitive biases and foibles and everything else that make us all unique. So that's that point. So I hear you, and a lot of people think that, but I think at least for the next 10 or 20 or 30 years we're good on that one. But for that, I don't know. But on the manufacturing one is, I just think that we've always, don't underestimate human ingenuity when there's a pain point. If there's a pain point around manufacturing and getting stuff built, and there's money on the line, people will figure it out, one. But then the other question is, do we need more stuff? That's a whole nother discussion that we had.
I spent my whole life as a fine artist, as a fine artist, because my goal was to capture emotions inside of me that I wanted you or someone else to appreciate and feel.
Right.
And now today, we still have artists that are out there doing things, but the reality is I could get machines that can produce some of the same kinds of creative innovation that would make you believe, just by inputting algorithms to it, that make you believe that someone created something for you to feel.
But my only point would be is, you buy and pay millions of dollars for Jackson Pollock because he had brain lesions to have him look at the world differently. And you pay that money because he was human. Now, would you pay that same money for a computer that's programmed to do that? I don't know.
I'm gonna offer you that somebody will actually tell the story behind that and let something else do it.
What's his name does that? Damien Hirst does things like that. Tells the story behind it and what somebody else did.
Yes. Because, see, you will feel passion and I'll work with you.
You know, they're talking about manufacturing. It's funny.
Yes.
That's what the world has always been doing. But how we do things, how we manufacture, you know, being in defense acquisition system, it opens up a whole other world to you. And I'm working on a project now at Los Angeles Air Force Base, Space and Missile Systems Center. And to hear our primes say they cannot find enough computer engineers, software engineers. You know, people are always talking about we're not going to have enough jobs. We have plenty of jobs. What we do not have are enough people who are educated in STEM. Okay? When I go to manufacturing conferences, yes, we have these awesome machines that can run themselves, that can cut at a millionth of an inch. But what the companies are looking for are programmers who can program these machines. We have got to transition our skill sets. You know, if China is talking about building an equivalent of 11 MITs, do you think they're going to do that because man has no position in the job, in the workforce anymore? No. They're doing it because they know the future has different skill sets. And that's what we have to take back to our communities. You know, I often hear our major universities say, oh, we don't want to lower our standards to bring underrepresented or minority kids into STEM subject matters. We have got to go back into our communities, force our parents, our elected officials to focus on STEM education so that we will have those type of businesses in our community. And so we are working actually with LATTC as well as LMU and hopefully Cal State Long Beach to bring into our community computer-aided drafting and design. Because with CAD, you cannot build anything with it. And I'm sure a lot of the older engineers would say, no, that's a lie. But in the world in which we're moving, the complexities of the parts, the complexities of the material, we need CAD, we need systems like BIM.
Sam, see, I
No.
BIM Sim.
Oh, BIM, yeah,
BIM and
BIM,
Sim.
yes.
I've just been told we have a
Thanks,
time.
everybody, I gotta go.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Thanks for squeezing time. We also have a time issue.
But we have to,
We got to keep moving.
we have to bring these these type of skill sets into our communities.
By the way, when we're done today, there's going to be a reception sponsored by Merrill Lynch with wine, cheese, dancing girls, you know the whole bit. So please stick around. No dancing girls, I'm told. I made that part up. But there really is a reception sponsored by Merrill Lynch and Bank of America. And speaking of which, our next speaker is a small business banker with Bank of America / Merrill Lynch. Please welcome Michael Utomi.
So folks, yes, there's a couple of us today with Bank of America Merrill Lynch. I'm Michael Tommy, and this is Bridget Tucker. So Bridget actually will be speaking first today, and she'll be going over a little bit about wealth management.
Hold on, Mom. Thank you, Michael. So, as Michael mentioned, I'm Bridget Tucker, and I am a financial advisor for Merrill Lynch. And today we're just going to have a conversation with you about wealth generation and expansion for you and your small business. For those of you who don't know about Merrill Lynch has been in business for over 101 years. We are a goals-based wealth management company, and we were built to protect and expand the wealth of the wealthy. That is what we do. I particularly am focused on building generational wealth for our veterans. I want to be there as you're transitioning back into the civilian world. I am the daughter of a veteran. I'm also married to a veteran. So I'm very passionate about working with the veteran community. There's a new generation of investing. There is a generation of what we call socially conscious consumers. And what we mean by that is we have individuals who are investing more than ever with their hearts. 63% of women are investing with their hearts. 66% of baby boomers are also investing with their hearts. They're investing in green type events. They're investing in socially conscious type of investments. So things that are anti-tobacco, for example, as opposed to being pro-tobacco. At Merrill Lynch, we can offer you the gamut of investments based on your individual goals and needs. We can offer you equities, fixed income, REITs. A REIT is a real estate investment trust. We have foreign exchange, and we also have alternative investments. So the range of what we can offer at Merrill Lynch varies all the way from if you want to have a portfolio that has 100% international stocks or 100% municipal bonds and everything in between. Merrill Lynch can offer that for you. One of the things that has recently happened within the Merrill Lynch community is we got married. We like to say, he'll say they took us over, but Merrill Lynch and Bank of America got together, and through the marriage, we've been able to expand our reach and be able to offer more merchant services through Bank of America, who was the leader in working with small businesses. So when you put the two of us together, Merrill Lynch being the #1 organization, not according to Merrill Lynch, but according to Morningstar, according to the Dow, and according to all the investment research committee reports, we are the #1 in research as far as investments concerned. And when you put the two together, you have a great marriage that makes us be able to dominate in the investment space and in the small business space. I'm going to turn it over to Michael, and then afterwards we'll take questions.
Hi, folks. So I'm not going to give you the long history of Bank of America because you can see that it's been around for a long time. I will talk about myself and my experience with small businesses and my background and why I have a passion for what I do. I've been in banking now almost 14 years. I've worked for a couple different banks. I've always worked with small businesses. I am also in the Air Force. I'm a guardsman. And that's one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. So I always enjoy being around other military members. One of the things that I've noticed with small businesses is they oftentimes know their business, but have no idea how money works. And the few that have learned a little bit still have a long way to go. So in speaking of the investment piece of it, I have an organization, military members, a nonprofit that I've been working with. And I've discovered that they have a sizable investment that they let one of their military members manage, which is not a bad idea. But in speaking with them, they said, hey, we'll give you guys a shot. And they gave me a request for information as to what Bank of America can offer them. And they asked me 3 questions. And so I took it to my guys and US Trust, and they said to me, well, this is different. We've never seen anything like this before. And I said, well, what do you mean? They said, well, most of the time when we have an organization that has this level of funds, they ask us about 50 questions, and we respond with about 150 pages of information. So the lack of questions from them tells us that the level of sophistication is not there in terms of understanding their investments and what they're doing in that space. And I tell that story to give you an idea of, sometimes our customers don't know what's available. What I do is I sit with a business and I